What's up, everybody? Today's video I'm going to address some questions I get when I do my self-portraits, where I light up the foreground with a flash and the Milky Way is in the background. I have two different ways I like to do that, and the first way is with a Yuko light, which is about 15 bucks on Amazon. And the one thing I really like about this is it's very lightweight and small and compact, and it has three different settings. You could dim the light. So if I turn this on here, this is the brightest setting. I can dim it to a medium and low. So that helps you out. If you're too overexposed with the light, you could dim it. So that's why I really like this. And for traveling, it's great, and also compacts down into a flashlight. The negative with this is you're doing a long exposure, so trying to stand still with your arm up in the air, you're most likely going to have some motion blur in those images if you start pixel peeping. So that is the downside with using that particular lighting method. I don't use it as much unless I'm really trying to travel lightweight. Now, my preferred method is a little more advanced, and it's basically using an SB700 flash. You could use a cheap flash, some triggers. In this case, I'm using Pocket Wizards, which I had from some weddings I used to do. But you don't need these really expensive triggers. You could totally get something that's very inexpensive. They make so many third-party triggers now that are really good. So definitely check into a cheaper option for that. I shoot in manual mode with the flash, so you don't need TTL or anything. So definitely get a cheaper version flash and some cheaper triggers. And then I have it's a bootleg Gary Fong light sphere. This, your light just velcros inside there, and then you trigger it from your camera. And the one thing that I like to do is put my camera into rear curtain sync mode. So basically, if you don't do that and you go to take a picture, your flash is going to trigger, and then you got to stand there. And if you move, you might get some motion blur. But if you put it in rear curtain sync, the exposure will start to happen, and you stand there perfectly still. Then the flash will go off towards the end of the exposure, and when that flash goes off, it's just a pop of light, but that strong pop of light will stop any motion, and this will help you get a sharper image. Now, for my camera, if let's say I do a 20-second exposure, even in rear curtain sync, it might only go up to like 10 seconds or 15 seconds and flash, and then I got to stand still for an extra 5 seconds for the shutter to close. Now, there is a little bit of a chance that I might get some motion blur, but it's a lot less than if I was using this light. So those are my two lighting options that I prefer most when doing those type of shots. And let me just show you some of the pictures. Alright guys, so this selfie was taken in Avalon, New Jersey, and it was a little bit challenging because I was using the Yuko flashlight, and I tried to do a 20-second exposure at first, but I was coming out way too blurry. It was just hard to stand still for that long. So I ended up cutting the time down to 10 seconds. And it took a few tries, but eventually I got a shot that I was satisfied with the sharpness, and I kept that. And then I took another photo for the sky just to expose that properly, and then I blended the two images together to create what you see here. So it was a little challenging, but it is definitely doable to use just a flashlight. Now the next photo I have is me at Botany Bay Plantation. And this is with the light sphere and my flash. And the great thing about this combination is that you could create this photo in one shot. You don't have to blend images if you don't want to. I usually blend stuff anyway just to clean up the noise. I'll take multiple exposures and stack them, or track my sky, things of that nature. But for people that don't know how to do all that, or just don't have the time to do all that post-processing, you could create this photo in just one shot using the light sphere and your flash. So that's the benefit of that. And also, like I said, because you're using rear curtain sync, the flash is towards the end of the exposure, keeping you a lot sharper. Okay guys, so this is me using my light sphere again, but I decided to try something different. I went to a Joshua tree in California and I used my flash to light up one of the Joshua trees and myself. The moon was out, so that also helped light the foreground a little bit more. And then I continued the exposure so I could create a star trail, and then blended myself back in with the star trail images. So you know, definitely play around and have some fun with this. Alright, so I put everything together so I can show you guys a quick little test of how I would do this. Basically, once I get my scene that I want, I put my camera into timer mode, and that allows me to run into position when I hit the shutter button. Usually I do it for 20 seconds. For this video, I set it to 5 seconds. And then typically I start off with 1/16 power for my flash, and you know, just do a test shot and make sure that everything links up. If you do test depending on the trigger, it will let you know that they are synced up. Now I'm going to hit the shutter button and I'll show you exactly what I mean. When it's set to rear curtain sync, it should flash you know, later into the exposure and not at the beginning. Now every camera is slightly different, so yours might react a little bit differently. In my case, the flash is probably going to go off around 10 seconds into this 15-second exposure. So let's see. There goes the flash. So you want to remain still until you hear another click of the shutter closing, and then I would move. So you still have to remain still, but that flash will definitely help eliminate a lot of movement. But for my camera, it doesn't do the flash at the very end. I still have a few seconds that I have to not move. Yours might be similar, so just do a couple test shots before going out into the field, and that is that. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe. I'm going to finish off this video with a short little slideshow of a few more pictures of my Midnight Explorer series. Take care.